Hello everyone and welcome to Blog on Everything and welcome back to the channel and welcome to yet another match review for what was once again a resounding victory for FC Barcelona at home against Girona. You know, Barca now doing the double in the Catalan derby over Girona. I guess getting back for, what happened last season. And I guess maybe it's just the Eric Garcia effect, right? Because last season he won both of these Catalan derbies between Barca and Girona. And this season he's kind of just done it again, hasn't he? Anywho, this is a match review, so we're going to go with the typical formula. I'm going to give you my negatives and positives from the performance before giving my team rating and the manager rating, and of course picking a man of the match. So if you're new here, this is how things go down, and if you are new here, then please go ahead and just hit subscribe. We're so close to 10k. We've been so close for a minute now. It's like getting old. But yeah, if you could, that would mean so much. But anywho, let's go straight into the negatives. And I thought the first negative was probably, how tricky it got in that second half. And I say this because, during the first half, Girona weren't really in the game. But in the second half, all of a sudden, they had this wonderful goal that they scored on the break through Attributions, and it looked for quite a bit of time like they were in with more than a shout at actually getting a win in this game. And it was really up until Barcelona scored the second goal, which, to be quite honest, did come somewhat against the run of play. So, I felt that was a bit of a negative. We'll get though into why that was the way that it was, why exactly Girona looked like they were in with something in the second half, despite the fact that, in my opinion, this game could have been wrapped up as soon as, halftime, really. And that was owing to some poor finishing by Barca in this one. We should be honest. I mean, to be honest, Gazzaniga did play his role here on Girona's part. He made some wonderful saves. I mean, it's not like Girona were watertight. It's not like they were defensively solid here against Barcelona. They were not. They were opened up on quite a few occasions, starting from pretty early on and even pretty late on. And Barca just didn't put away some of those chances because maybe the finishing was wayward in the moment, or Gazzaniga made just a brilliant save. We saw him deny Ronaldo during the first half with what looked like a certain goal, from a corner kick. And when we look at his stats for the game, he did prevent about 0.88 in XG, in goals, which might seem like a small thing, when you're looking at the number of goals a team can potentially score. But trust me, that's pretty significant, especially when you look at some of the chances that he prevented. So, some poor finishing from Barca as well did contribute to, that earlier shakiness that I talked about, Girona making the game pretty tricky in the second half. But moving on from that, we can talk about some positives. And the first of the positives I thought for me was the performance from the team. Because, Girona are one of those opponents that force you to play as a team and force you to find solutions as a team. And I thought at the end of the day, when everything was said and done, the team performance from Barcelona was pretty good. Efforts of Inigo Martinez, who was targeted, on quite a few occasions, but he definitely rose to the occasion, rose to the challenge, and, he stepped up and did his part in cutting out quite a few counterattacks through Sigankov, through Attributions, especially in that first half. And the same as well applies for Ronald Araujo, who was pretty solid, I thought, for quite a majority of this game, really, to be honest. The only one who maybe looked like he was struggling for a bit was Jules Koundé, and that had more to do with just, I think, how well Danjuma and Girona were playing that, we're making those runs to beat that offside trap from Barcelona. But aside from that, like I said, good team performance from Barcelona. And I thought that it was a nice, you could say, champions response from Barca after looking like, they were under pressure from Girona. You have to say as well, the substitutions are definitely another positive. Ferran Torres, Frankie de Jong coming on, and both of them in particular being instrumental in, the goals Barcelona scored late on. The goal that was the second goal by Lewandowski that was assisted by Frankie de Jong. Then, the fourth goal that was, of course, scored by Ferran Torres. And, even in that Ferran Torres goal as well, Frankie de Jong having a major part in the build-up. So, it was all around, I think, a great team performance from Barcelona. The rotations did work pretty well here. Ferran coming in, doing well. Gavi as well coming in for the second start, second consecutive start, and he did well. Although I should say that, in as much as he did do well, and Eric Garcia as well did do well in that, holding position in midfield, I would have much preferred to see a double pivot of Gavi and Pedri. I mean, we did get to see it for a bit against Osasuna, and it was pretty good, wasn't it? It was pretty darn good, and hopefully we can get more minutes with Gavi in that double pivot rather than at attacking midfield. I just feel like he's kind of wasted in attacking midfield because he doesn't really have the sharpest skill set to navigate those, tight spaces in the box and, to pick out passes, or the kind of vision that you want from a number 10. But everything else that he possesses is just so well suited to that second row next to Pedri in that double pivot. So, we can hope only that we will see more of Gavi in that role. Okay, enough of all of that. Let's get into the team rating and the manager rating. And going with the team rating here, I thought that it was an 8 out of 10 here. It could have been more if they kept a clean sheet and if they didn't have that little, slump of levels, when Girona did start to get on the ball a lot more and start to create a bit more in that second half. And also, I guess, if they had put away more of their chances in the first half. I mean, even later on the second half, right? Like, you had Lamine Yamal hitting the crossbar. So, quite a few occasions they didn't finish the chances like they should have. So I would say that an 8 out of 10 is a fair rating for the team in this one. And for the manager here, I'd say a 9 out of 10 probably is yeah, it's a fair enough rating for him here. Could it have been a 10? Maybe, but it just felt like there was something lacking. So I'm giving Hansi Flick a 9 out of 10 for this one. And, overall, I think 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, those are pretty good ratings for both the team and the manager, who now are on 19 matches unbeaten in 2025, which, it's going to be a tough ask to ask them to make it to 20, considering that the next match is away at Atleti in the Copa del Rey semi-final. So, we'll wait to see what's going to happen there. But until then, we can talk about the man of the match. And there were quite a few candidates for man of the match this time around, to be honest. You did have, Lewandowski with his brace, what was pretty, I would say, important. The timing when he scored these goals was pretty important for Barcelona. Gave them, the upper hand again, especially how quickly Barca scored that second goal after Girona's equalizer. So, timing of Lewandowski's goals cannot be overemphasized. It was important. Then you also had some great showings, as usual, from Pedri, as usual, from Lamine Yamal. And it was a pretty tricky one in this case to pick a man of the match. Very easily could have been Pedri, very easily could have been Lamine Yamal. But, I went with Lewandowski this time around, just like I said, because of the timing of those goals that he scored. Pretty important and, pretty clinical, at least when it mattered the most. And, it's good to have a predator like him for Barcelona in the box, just somebody who can sniff out a chance and who can bury it. And, of course, there was El Tiburon as well, the shark, or Sharknado, like I like to call him, Ferran Torres as well, pretty clinical in the box. And you like to see this. It's good for Barcelona having all of their, difference makers coming into some form at this time of the season. But yeah, man of the match this time, Robert Lewandowski. I thought he deserved it. But aside from that, you let me know your thoughts on the match. Go ahead, put them in the comment section. But I thank you all for tuning in. Do have a great day, and Forza Barça.